If you're talking about it, we're talking about it. The talk of the town on 100.7 FM, WUTQ.
They claim this will be the first marijuana resort, but there are already thousands of marijuana resorts in this country. They're called colleges and universities.
8:42 on the talk of the town. Jimmy Kimmel on last night's show joking about the new marijuana resort. Interesting, as marijuana laws are causing all sorts of discussion all over the country, coming to New York State in medicinal use, perhaps, and also other states of the union passing laws for medicinal use of marijuana and also for recreational use as well. Interesting topic, and other interesting topics on the docket right now with Senator Joe Griffo on the phone. Senator, how are you?
Good, David. How are you?
Good.
Hey, Senator.
And Jay is here, and also attorney Mark Walber. Say hi.
Good morning, Jay, and good morning, Marky Mark.
Good morning,
Similar
Joe.
to the chew here, even though you're not in studio.
Do you see any issues with these marijuana laws, and what's the latest for New York State on that, Senator?
Well, I think are we talking about the synthetic drugs that are out there right now?
Well, no, but the medicinal marijuana coming to the state of New York, perhaps, and also I know that there are folks lining up to act as dispensaries and grow farms and things like that, and maybe the potential for recreational marijuana in the state of New York. What do you see regarding that?
Well, on the medicinal area, we had the vote a couple of years ago, and I had some questions and reservations at the time, even though I believe that if we can provide something that will provide relief, we need to look at that and be able to access that. The questions that I raised at the time was we had no clinical studies, and I think that's important, too, because we want to make sure there's a true benefit if people are going to be taking an opportunity to take advantage of something. But it is the law, and as a result of that, what we've tried to do is in cases where there's been some demonstrated assistance and relief, particularly with some of the people who are experiencing challenges through epilepsy, we sponsored a bill I did this year with another member of the Assembly to have quicker access. So the process is moving right now. Unfortunately, the federal government did not give us the opportunity to allow these individuals to have access because there's still some federal issues that remain, obviously, with the ban. But the state is moving forward. They have identified dispensaries and growers, and we'll continue to monitor that. Relative to recreational use, I don't believe right now that would be a prudent course for us. We're looking at states where that has happened, like Colorado and the West Coast, and I believe there's been some problems, particularly from neighboring states to Colorado. We've been talking to some officials in the Southwest there with more incidents and problems. So from my perspective, I do not believe that we should move forward on any recreational use at this point in time.
All right. You're also featured on the front page of the Observer-Dispatch this morning, banding together with your friend, Anthony Brindisi, doing something for the first time, sending out a joint mailing to your constituents as Democrats and Republicans continue to work together. Interesting on that, Senator.
Yeah, Dave, I think what we're trying to do is really focus on the area, and our relationship has been a natural one. It is not contrived in any way. We recognize from day one that it's important that we communicate and work together, and we have great mutual professional respect for one another and a good personal rapport. So that has helped us to really focus on many of the challenges that confront our community and to really work in tandem to try to deliver. And I think you've seen that with funding for the auditorium, the nanotechnology initiatives, working with the county exec and the mayors and the Mohawk Valley Edge, as well as most recently the hospital allocation. So this is an illustration, an example, I think, of how government should work. And I'm fortunate to have the Assemblyman as a partner, and I'm proud of our relationship. And, what we're going to do is we have the opportunity to present a report to the people, and I think it's kind of unprecedented that the two of us will collaborate and cooperate on a joint type of mailer to get the message out to what's happening, what we're doing, and why we're doing it. So this is a way, in my opinion, of the manner in which government should function, just opposite of what we're seeing in Washington right now. People don't like this finger-pointing, name-calling. It's just so counterproductive and unfortunate. But in our case, we're doing our best to do a weekend to pay attention to what the community needs and has an interest in, and then trying to do our best to advocate and deliver.
Yeah, good PR there. I think folks are going to really appreciate you working with the Assemblyman on that with regard to Republicans and Democrats getting together for a common cause. We're talking with the New York State Senator Joe Griffo on the Talk of the Town at 100.7 FM, WUTQ.
Senator, something back in the news you've led the fight on, I guess, if you will, if I can use that term, talking about MMA. New York State, the only state with a formal ban on MMA fighting, and it looks like UFC is gearing up to sue the state over that ban. Details, and if you could give us a little bit of background on your push to help bring the sport to New York State.
Well, there was no pun intended there, right, Jay?
No pun.
No, I believe the essence of this, and we've been passing this bill for the last 6 years. New York is the only state left that does not allow it. And while I respect anyone who disagrees with it or who does not like it, I just don't believe that the government should tell you what you can see or who can see it and where it can be allowed. So in this particular instance, you have it on television. It's on ESPN. It's on Fox. It's on pay-per-view. You have access to this. Amateur activity actually occurs throughout the state right now, and to me there's more danger there. What we're trying to accomplish is to give to the New York State Athletic Commission the ability to regulate this sport. We do it in boxing. We do it in wrestling. We would give them that opportunity to ensure the safety of the fighters as well as the spectators. There will also be an economic benefit to the state and the communities which host these events. This sport has evolved significantly from its original origins by its own rules, and then if you give the power to the Athletic Commission to regulate and monitor this type of activity, I believe that will be a positive. And as I said, I respect differences of opinion and those who do not like the sport. But if you don't like football, it doesn't mean that we shouldn't have football right now. And I think that's unfortunate that we're the only state left that bans this. Our athletes cannot take advantage in their own state professionally in this particular sport, and we're not benefiting from it economically. So I do recognize we've passed it several years in a row. As I indicated, the Assembly has failed to act on this. The new Speaker has indicated a willingness to do this. The majority leader of the Assembly, Joe Morelli, is the sponsor, and I think he actually believes in this as opposed to the prior sponsor of the bill. So I thought there was a great opportunity this year. I understand the frustration from the UFC particularly, even though they're only one brand of MMA, because we're talking about MMA here, mixed martial arts. But I understand the UFC's frustration, and they have every right to litigate because most of the sports, if you look at the mixed martial arts, most of the sports involved in that, the wrestling, the boxing, the jiu-jitsu, that's all legal individually. But when you put it together collectively, we've banned it. So I think they have a legitimate frustration and gripe, and they can pursue that legally, so they'll be on parallel paths.
Yeah, very popular sport, no doubt about it. Senator Griffo joining us on the Talk of the Town with the attorney Mark Walber.
Joe, first of all, a comment on what you just said. I think you're absolutely on target with that. These are voluntary participants. These are not people who are forced to participate in a sport, and it may be dangerous and it may cause injury, but there are a lot of other sports that do the same. And I think that you're absolutely correct to bring that here. Why should we be the one state that doesn't allow that? There could be an economic benefit. It's important to know that you're not forcing people to do something that they don't want to do, and you're not forcing people to watch something they don't want to watch. If you don't like it, you can change the channel. I turn the TV on. I don't watch some programs. I change the channel, watch something else.
They're doing that with our program right now, by the way, Mark.
I do have something I want to mention to you.
Well, hopefully they've got it on right now, right?
Exactly, Joe.
Try to make it so they can't change. This is an issue that troubles me. It has troubled me for a long time. I've mentioned it to you before. I'm going to mention it to you again. What I am really disturbed about is the tolls on the thruway. I think it's completely unfair for the people in Utica who want to go east or west to have to pay a toll on the thruway and be burdened with that toll, which also discourages business from locating in this area because people who are doing trucking have got that extra expense of a toll. Their tolls are anachronistic. You don't see them all over the country. People tell me they go from New York to Florida, and once they get out of Pennsylvania, there's no more toll roads. There's no toll from Albany to Montreal. There's no toll from Syracuse to Oswego. On Route 17 along the south, there's no toll. I'm familiar with the road from Albany to Montreal. It's a beautiful road. It's as well maintained as the thruway. It's a 6-lane highway. If New York State took the tolls off the thruway, it would be the biggest public relations coup ever in the history of the state. It would be probably all over the world that New York has become more business friendly. They're giving money away all over the place in grants. Let's get rid of the tolls. You can eliminate the toll collectors. You could sell advertising on the thruway to make up for some of the lost revenue. What are your thoughts on that, Joe?
Well, originally, Mark, when I got to Albany, we approached that question because I always thought that there was this presentation that once the bonds of the thruway were paid off, that they would look to become toll-free, and they never did that. So they began to explain to us some of their concerns relative to operations and maintenance, because you want to keep that in the best condition possible, particularly when we face inclement conditions during the winter. So I guess from my perspective, first of all, I think we should be merging these agencies and departments. For instance, I would merge the Thruway Authority and the Canal Corporation under the Department of Transportation, and then we could look under the general budget, like you're indicating, to see whether that could be absorbed and whether or not those tolls could be eliminated. I believe, though, quite honestly, Mark, because of the high degree that we want to ensure that road is kept, and I think in many cases it's not from the investment in infrastructure, we need to do more. I think they do a good job of keeping it clean in the wintertime and usable, but there's a lot more we could do from an investment perspective from a public infrastructure. So I think there may be, my perspective would be, if we could ease out of it, I would totally agree with you. But I would also say that we may need a small toll in order to continue to ensure that that road is in optimal condition despite the seasons that we experience here. So that's something we should look at. If we could at least diminish that significantly, I do not understand why we continue to increase the toll. It makes no sense, and that is counterproductive to what you just indicated, because transportation and its network is very important to economic development. So if there were a way, the objective should be to eliminate the tolls, but at least to reduce them significantly would be a step in the right direction, and to ensure that the road is still kept in optimal condition for travel.
All right, we're toll-free on the Talk of the Town. You can call us toll-free anytime, 624-0870. Senator, thanks for your time today. Really appreciate it. Jay, with one more comment.
Senator, I know you want to get this in. Also something free, very popular. You've done this before. You have a free drop-off this weekend to dispose of old electronics, documents, medication, sharp needles, and that takes place in Rome, I believe?
Yeah, thanks so much, Jay. I appreciate that. We've been doing this annually for the last several years. In the springtime, we do it in the eastern end of the county in New Hartford Shopping Center. In the fall, in the western end of the county at Westgate Shopping Center in Rome. And it's a free drop-off for your electronic recycling. So bring all types of electronics that you have. They'll take them, as well as any medication that you may have, used medication. They'll take that, as well as sharps and needles now. And we also documents. If you have documents, you can bring up to, I think, 3 boxes of documents that you want shredded. And we have people there. Confidata will be there, Sun King Electronics, Time Warner, and the Rome Police Department. So we're working in conjunction with all of them to do all of that. It's free. It's from 10 to 3. You can stay in the car. We have a lot of people volunteering to help get the stuff out of your car. It moves pretty quickly. But I think it's a great thing because it makes us recycle properly. It helps us to reduce the carbon footprint. It helps us from an environmental perspective. But it's an easy way for people to get rid of things that they want to get rid of and to do it the right way. We do it annually. It's been a huge success. So come out this Saturday, October 3rd, I believe, 10 to 3 at Westgate Shopping Center in Rome.
All right, Joe, thanks. Have a great weekend. Appreciate it, Senator.
Thank you, Dave, Jay, and Mark.
All right, very good. There's the Senator Joe Griffo. Always interesting on the Talk of the Town.